Hello again and welcome to another in our continuing series of Fly the Wing 5-minute flight maneuver videos. This month it's slow flight. Slow flight is by definition any airspeed less than normal cruise speed. Minimum controllable airspeed, however, is that airspeed at which any further increase in angle of attack, load factor, or reduced power would cause an immediate stall. Remember, as airspeed decreases, control effectiveness decreases disproportionately. The objective of maneuvering during slow flight is to develop the sense of feel and ability to use the controls correctly and to improve your proficiency in performing maneuvers that require slow airspeeds. Although you may not have practiced slow flight since the time you prepared for your private pilot check ride, it's a flight condition you should experience in any new airplane you're transitioning to so that you can better learn how the airplane behaves as you approach its minimum controllable airspeed. Well, we could sit here and talk all day about slow flight and minimum controllable airspeed, but what do you say we go fly slowly in a Cessna Skylane and see and hear what it's all about?
Slow this plane up and fly it as slow as we can. Just before we get to a stall, if we flew any slower or increased the angle of attack, the plane would stall, and that's our objective in slow flight. So we've begun to bring the power back. We're well into the white arc. We can bring the first notch of flaps in and slowly bring the flaps in as we slow the plane up to minimum controllable airspeed. Now this plane today with full fuel and one person aboard should stall with full flaps just above 40 knots. So let's see how slow we can get it. We now have full flaps in. Power is back. I'm going to continue to trim as the airspeed bleeds off. Maintain the same altitude. We're at 5,600 feet now. And as I bring that angle of attack up, we're going to start to hear the stall warning right there. That indicates we're about 5 to 10 knots away from a stall, but so far the plane is still flying fine. And once I get it stabilized, I can start some slow turns. Slow turn to the right, going to require even more power. Bring that angle of attack down just a little bit. Stall buzzer's basically going the entire time because we're in that area, that region where we're almost stalled. I can go back to the left. Controls are mushy and ragged. I'm having to control a lot just to get a little bit of response. Our ground speed currently is 35 knots, which is pretty slow for a turbo Skylane to fly. But I've got a lot of power in there right now with this nose-up attitude. I did get the plane back to 5,600 feet, and now to resume normal flying, I'll milk the flaps out one notch. That'll allow me to decrease that angle of attack. I've got full power in. We've got flying airspeed again. We're staying at 5,600. Another notch of flaps. We've got a positive rate of climb going. Slowly correcting with less and less right rudder as the power comes in. And we're staying at 5,600 feet and we resume flying airspeed. We're now at 85 knots, approaching 90 knots, and recovery from slow flight is complete.
And there you have it, slow flight and minimum controllable airspeed. As you practice in your airplane, here are a few of the common errors. Not maintaining constant airspeed before, during, and after getting to minimum controllable airspeed's an error. Poor coordination, slipping or skidding. Remember, even if you have to fly cross-controlled, stay coordinated. Not dividing attention between airplane control and orientation is a common error. And don't fixate on the airspeed indicator. Rather, scan between the airspeed, altimeter, heading, and VSI instruments, but spend a lot of your time looking outside the airplane. Remember, all of the private and commercial maneuvers, with the exception of unusual attitudes, are visual maneuvers. Now, the PTS standards at the private pilot level for slow flight are to maintain airspeed plus 10 knots or minus 0 knots. You can't go any slower than MCA without stalling. That's why you're not allowed to go anything slower than stall speed when demonstrating the maneuver. You have to maintain altitude plus or minus 100 feet and heading and bank plus or minus 10 degrees. The commercial pilot standards are half that of the private, plus 5 knots on airspeed, 50 feet on the altitude, and bank angle plus or minus 5 degrees. Well, there you have it, more than you probably ever wanted to know about slow flight and MCA. Go out and practice with your instructor, and I'll see you next month for another Fly the Wing 5-minute flight maneuver video.